Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, A Pop of Culture. My name is the Esoteric and Facetious, no relation, and I talk about subjects I'm passionate about relating to pop culture, social justice, the human experience, and how the three interact from a black, bisexual, millennial perspective. Everything I say should be taken with a grain of salt, as I'm simply a college student who loves thinking critically and discussing the subjects I'm interested in. However, with that being said, my youth shouldn't be your sole reason to critique my views if you disagree, unless it's truly relevant. If you want to debate any points I make, let's have a civil conversation. Feel free to check out my first video essay titled Aaliyah Processing Death as a Young Person and the Impact of Celebrity Death on Their Fans. My second video essay, The Death of Real Music. The playlist will be linked in the cards and down below. Also, feel free to check out and subscribe to my cover channel, A Pop of Culture Sings, which will be linked below and also featured in my channel section on this channel, where I will be covering my favorite songs. I'm a singer and I want to grow my abilities and share my passion with the world through YouTube. I love singing and music, especially throwback R&B music and pop, so definitely check it out if that interests you. New uploads will be made to each channel weekly. I'm also on TikTok at A Pop of Culture Sings, where I upload daily covers and duets, bunch of singing there, good singing, so definitely check that out if that interests you. Today's topic for discussion, with all that being said, is are there some issues that social justice oriented people should no longer discuss, or rather engage in debate about? Side note, A Pop of Culture is available on a variety of podcast streaming platforms. You can go to the Anchor landing page in the description below and see all the places that you can listen to A Pop of Culture online other than YouTube. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and hit that bell so you're the first to know when I upload new content. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher and like what you hear, please subscribe to this podcast and give it a 5-star review. It'll help me grow this platform and share a message of critical consumption of pop culture. If you're listening on Spotify, please subscribe so you can get updates when I post new podcasts. To stay up to date with the show, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram at A Pop of Culture Pod, on Twitter at @A_Pop of Culture, and again TikTok at A Pop of Culture Sings. All these platforms will be linked in the description, and if you go to my Instagram, everything is linked there on one of those cute little Instagram sites, Linktree, you know. Let's see. With all that being said, let's get into the video essay podcast. Trigger warnings for discussions of racism, homophobia, and transphobia. As the title suggests, are there some topics we are, like the phrase goes, beating a dead horse, which, as the internet states, is an idiom that means a particular effort is a waste of time, as there will be no outcome, such as in the example of flogging a dead horse, which will not cause it to feel pain or anything else. Now, what do I mean by this? As a person who considers myself adequately educated on topics regarding to social justice, though of course I'm young and learning every day, I enjoy learning new things and understanding and educating myself on topics I was previously uneducated on. However, as I engage in conversations and attempt to learn through reading articles, taking classes, attending speeches, events, discussions, watching discussions, lectures, documentaries, online content, commentary videos, panels, and the like, I sometimes question, is this a conversation that still needs to be had? I'll give you all a few examples. 1. Colorism and texturism exist in the Black community. If you don't know what these terms mean, colorism is discrimination based on skin color, also known as shadism, which people are treated differently based on the social implications from cultural meaning attached to skin color. Texturism operates in a similar manner as colorism. It is the acceptance or glorification of an individual's straight or loose coiled natural hair texture over an individual's coarse, kinkier, or tightly coiled natural hair texture. 2. Transgender women are women. Transgender men are men. 3. It's not okay to discriminate against someone on the basis of their sexual orientation. Okay, let's unpack these 3 statements. The reason why I chose these 3 topics is because I see them debated constantly, day in and day out, on social media and in real life. Here's the thing. No matter how much evidence you give some people, they will deny that colorism exists in real life, in the media, and in the entertainment industry, and that it is something that has real-life consequences. There are going to be some people who will never view transgender people as the gender they identify with, no matter what evidence or testimonies you have from transgender people or medical professionals. There's always going to be some people who are going to be homophobic, no matter what evidence or testimony they get from queer identified people. Disclaimer time. It's disclaimer time. I want to take this moment to acknowledge that as a member of the LGBT plus community, I reclaim the term queer. However, I understand that this term has been used as a slur in the past and in the present towards LGBT plus individuals and individuals who simply don't align with what is expected of them, and understand not everyone chooses to reclaim this term. As a young person, I don't have a lot of experiences with having this term used toward me in a derogatory manner, and I respect that not everyone has that experience, and the trauma some people have associated with the term makes them uncomfortable with its use. End of disclaimer time. I guess my concern as someone who wishes to educate and also promote positive social change that has consideration towards fixing systematic issues that privilege some and disadvantage others, I feel like there is more useful work to be done than debating people who are unwilling to change their opinions and who are unwilling to look at evidence that challenges their biases. A 2-hour debate about whether colorism exists on Twitter that has resulted in no change in mindset from the person I was engaging with could have easily been a conversation discussing how to challenge Black media representation that appears to be colorist. I feel like a lot of energy that is used by socially progressive individuals is simply spent arguing online over things that shouldn't be argued, like the aforementioned points. Here's my thing. I never want to become someone that is so woke that I tell people, look it up, it's not my job to educate you. Because while I feel that is a valid way to feel as a marginalized person who already has to experience systemic oppression on a daily basis, systemic oppression, be it racist, patriarchal, or cultural, can have a strong and negative effect on your life and sense of self. Systemic oppression refers to the mistreatment of people within a specific group supported and enforced by society and its institutions. And minority stress. Minority stress describes chronically high levels of stress faced by members of stigmatized minority groups. It may be caused by a number of factors, including poor social support and low socioeconomic status. Well understood causes of minority stress are interpersonal prejudice and discrimination. And might not want to go through the emotional labor of explaining social justice concepts that are widely available for anybody with an internet connection and the ability to read. I also feel that those who care about social justice issues will do the work to educate themselves on social justice topics. I want to be a bridge, if I can be, to help people find out information they seek to learn. I myself have a lot to learn. But if I can suggest useful resources that have helped me to learn, I can make it easier for that person to learn what they are trying to educate themselves on rather than leaving them to their own devices, literally and figuratively. One of the unfortunate things I see that relates to emotional labor is that those who are often the most marginalized regarding discussions are the ones defending their existence and the existence of those topics to those with more privilege. Trans people are explaining their existence to cis people. Gay people are explaining their sexuality to straight people. Dark-skinned people are explaining their existence to non-dark-skinned people. It's disclaimer time. In some ways, I do get, obviously, people who are marginalized have to explain their experience to people who are not marginalized, because otherwise, how are they going to understand their perspective? But at the same time, I also feel like after a while, when these marginalized people keep having to explain their experience over and over and over, it can be tiring to continually have to explain yourself and your existence to people over and over, because not only do you have to deal with explaining this to these people, you have to actually live through this experience. And I feel like as resources have become more and more available, a trans person, a Black person, any person that's marginalized, they shouldn't have to explain themselves, because there's resources available for people to educate themselves without having to go directly to the source. Not only do they have to deal with minority stress and systematic oppression, but now they have to explain their existence to people who have access to the internet. One of my favorite phrases from 𝘎𝑐𝒍𝒍𝒐𝒘 𝑴𝒆, a person with commentary on race and Black American experience, I highly recommend, is your Google ain't broke. And I think that statement is very true. The same internet that people use to tweet vicious claims is the same internet they can use to unlearn vicious claims and statements that have been taught to them about certain groups of people. However, I think my concern comes from what I view as a never-ending cycle. I view the aforementioned topics as what I'd call beginner-level discourse when it comes to social justice topics and concerns. While I previously stated I feel it's important to educate those who are unaware of or ignorant of social justice topics, I think when we're always debating, especially with people who have no intentions of changing their worldview, we aren't doing the most productive thing. It's disclaimer time. Educating people on social issues they are unaware of or have misconceptions of, and having conversations and taking action to advocate for marginalized groups are not mutually exclusive. Both things can occur. End of disclaimer time. However, when I think about activism and discourse, written or spoken communication or debate regarding social justice, very rarely do I see full-time activists, as we are in a capitalist society where the majority of us must work to have the means we need to survive. This means a lot of discourse that happens is coming from people who cannot fully invest all their time into activism. This means they may have a YouTube channel where they discuss social justice in their free time. They may volunteer, donate, and have discussions on social media when not working. As I mentioned, they're already dealing with systematic oppression and minority stress. So if they choose to use some of the time they're not resting and having a social life to advocate for social justice issues, I feel like this time should be allocated effectively. However, when I see people debating homophobes, transphobes, colorists, and the like, I feel as though this energy could be better spent. I see online a lot is that there will be trolls who gaslight socially conscious people to get a response. It's disclaimer time. I know the word gaslight isn't thrown around a lot on the internet, but I'm going to define the term or use a term online that I found and show you guys how it applies, so I'm not just using this term that's very much used, I feel, thrown around a lot on the internet. So let's see. Gaslight. Manipulate someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity. Let's see. So instead of someone having a discussion about how we can support directors who feature talented Black actors and actresses, instead of discussing how cis people can be allies to the trans community, we are gaslit into debates about how homosexuality is a choice, how transgender people are mentally ill, and how colorism isn't real. And these are just a few examples. How is this gaslighting? This is gaslighting because there is documented evidence, there's academic journals, there's been a lot of research on these topics that proves that these things do exist, that these are real things. So when people say that these things don't exist, when they try to push their own narratives, it is gaslighting because it's manipulating people into questioning their own sanity. Because if I'm speaking about colorism, if I'm speaking about transphobia or homophobia, and you're just saying, well, actually, you're just being emotional, you're just not being logical. A popular phrase by conservative Ben Shapiro is facts don't care about feelings. And one of the funny things that I think that I see a lot is that a lot of conservative people seem to kind of use defenses like this, facts don't care about feelings. And the funny thing is there are facts that support these topics and concerns in other social justice related topics. So I feel like this idea that social justice and facts or logical thinking cannot coexist is kind of foolish. This is why I'm a firm believer that as socially conscious people, we should have action-based discourse that works to advance actions that work to promote equity in society. It's disclaimer time. I know that what I'm speaking of exists and has existed for many years, but this is just a pattern I've seen coming up a lot in social media on platforms I'm present on recently. Note that this video essay podcast was written in late May. I'm recording this on June 11th of 2020. So I'm not talking about anything regarding the Black Lives Matter movement or George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, any type of activism regarding that. I stand in solidarity with my fellow Black folks and allies. Now let's unpack what equity is. Equity, the notion of being fair and impartial as an individual engages with an organization or a system, particularly systems of grievance. It reflects processes and practices that both acknowledge that we live in a world where everyone has not been afforded the same resources and treatment while also working to remedy this fact. Equity is often conflated with the term equality, which means sameness and assumes incorrectly that we all have equal access, treatment, and outcomes. In fact, true equity implies that an individual may need to experience or receive something different, not equal, in order to maintain fairness in access. For example, a person with a wheelchair may need different access to an elevator relative to someone else. One of the most effective things I've seen in combating willful ignorance is refusing to engage in reductive conversation. If someone is asserting that an issue that has already been researched and proven to exist doesn't exist, I would suggest that you kindly refer them to resources that indicate that this concern is a valid concern and go about your business. Because while I feel like it can feel good to clap back at people who are spouting problematic rhetoric in a hateful manner, and can make you feel like you're doing some good, realistically speaking, colorism debate number 999999999 isn't going to be the debate to end all colorism debates. And just as you school this person on how they are incorrect and how their incorrect ideas could be contributing to the harm of already vulnerable populations, there will be another person exposing the same, if not even worse rhetoric, even louder. In mythology, there is the creature, the Hydra. The Hydra has many heads. If you cut off one Hydra head, two more would grow back in its place. Just like when you cut off the head of a Hydra, when you debate one willfully ignorant person, the second you complete that debate, more reductive debates will grow out of that, and before you know it, the time you could have spent doing something more productive has been spent bickering back and forth with the human equivalent of a brick wall. In an ideal world, having conversations with people who are willfully ignorant could bring forth teaching moments where people learned and the world was better for it. However, I'm a firm believer if someone wants to grow in their understanding of the world, they will be willing to educate themselves, to have the humility to admit when they are wrong, and to state that they do not know it all. I don't know it all, you don't know it all, none of us do. I feel that in the tiny lifespans in comparison to the history of humanity on Earth, the universe, and the like, we live on this planet, even in ideal circumstances, extremely short periods of time, where we cannot even begin to understand the many unknowns of the world we live in. Understanding that there's only so much we can know of our own experiences should empower us to be open to learning concepts based on research and experiences of those who came before us, and use this information to allow us to have a better grasp of the world, as our perspectives can be very biased and limited. If someone is unwilling to do the work to learn, we as socially conscientious people should seek out ways to spend our available time and energy that we are willing to allocate towards activist work, towards those who are willing to learn and grow, towards donating, service work, conversations with those who do care to learn. I think we should all remind ourselves that we as social justice-minded people are not obligated to debate every person who wishes to at us, comment on our content, confront us in real life, whatever. You don't lose your social justice-minded card if you don't debate somebody. You're not a real activist or a real person who cares if you don't engage in every conversation. And I feel like that's something that I see a lot. Even like, for example, with people who are atheists. I myself am atheist, but I respect all beliefs as long as they don't oppress or harm people. Some people, especially like I'll see a lot of Christians doing this. They'll say, "Well, debate me. If you're right, debate me." And I guess my thing is, whether I'm right or not about religion or spirituality or whatever you want to call it, I feel like this taunting that people do towards other people when it comes to like forcing someone to do a debate, I feel like it comes off as very immature. It kind of comes off as, who has the biggest thing, like it comes off as very much like, a pissing contest. And I feel like that's not cool. I feel like my thing is, when people do this type of strategy where they're trying to force people to debate them, I feel like what they're trying to do is get people to crack under pressure. Because my thing is, if you get me emotional and riled up and you think like, you're like, let's talk about this, I may be so in that emotional state where I'm just reacting to you that I may step on my words, I may stumble on my words, whatever the phrase is, and I may kind of make a fool of myself, or I may just, not be as articulate as I could be. And then me not being articulate turns into atheism being wrong or social justice concepts being BS or something like that, because you're making it more about me as a person responding to you rather than the issues being the issues and the issues being discussed. And I feel like that's an issue I see a lot with debates between social justice minded people and conservative people. I feel like a lot of times conservative people, and it can go either way. One person on one side may use certain tactics to get an emotional response out of the other person, and then when that person responds to that emotional response and they may kind of be attacked or angry, then whatever they were saying is kind of disregarded. And I feel like we have to make sure the issues are the concern. Whether you're conservative or liberal, you have to make sure the issues are the concern, because if you allow people to get you to step out of your character and to react emotionally, then if you react and you don't have the most perfect articulate phrase, or you end up using expletives or getting angry, they have power over you, and whatever you're saying is disregarded. And with that being said, not every conversation is going to bring further understanding, and some conversations are not intended to bring forth understanding, but to build up conflict. I've seen this time and time again. Emotionally rile up social justice-minded people and see them react. We've all seen this SJW cringe compilation. We've also probably seen on the other end of the spectrum with, conservatives cringe compilation. And I feel like when we bring people out of their character to elicit an emotional response to discredit their argument, I feel like that is something that comes off as very much shallow and immature, because we all understand that we as humans are temperamental, we're emotional. So by using that to kind of present an image of somebody else to misrepresent their arguments, I feel like that's not good. In fact, I actually remember at my university there was a pro-life group that actually came on campus, and they had a lot of large pictures of aborted fetuses, and this caused for a lot of controversy on campus. I think it was like the Right to Life movement. I actually was looking stuff up online one night, and I think that one of the people, a parent who actually lost their child at Columbine, I think he's actually somebody who's ahead of this movement. But basically they go to colleges and they have these pictures, and they also have some very triggering phrases. Like they talk about how allegedly more people have been aborted than people have been in the Holocaust and different things like that. Like a lot of very triggering phrases. And they had cameras on them. All the people had cameras on them, and they would try to incite reactions from people who were pro-choice. And the idea of this was to get these emotional reactions from pro-choice people to kind of say, look, this is what pro-choice people are. We did nothing. And I feel like the footage likely wasn't showing all the actions and things that they were doing to incite the reaction. So I feel like I said, I feel like it's disclaimer time. This is not to say that social justice-minded people can't react to triggering images or topics in the way they see fit. End of disclaimer time. I just feel that we have to consider the impact we wish to have with the work we do, and if engaging with an individual is not something that will aid you in accomplishing a goal you wish to aid in, perhaps you shouldn't engage. It's okay to make some topics not up for debate. It's okay to refer people to resources. If they care, they'll take it up to learn what the research says, and if they don't care, engaging with them was likely a waste of time. To conclude, I don't think anyone is a lost cause, but I think that those who wish to learn will be open to educating themselves, and I feel like engaging in reductive conversation can take away time, energy, and resources from more useful places it could have been utilized, and that's all I have to say for now. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of A Pop of Culture. Make sure to tune in next week for the next episode of the show. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you wish to do so. If you choose to subscribe, make sure to hit that bell so you're the first to know when I upload new content. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. with all of my videos, I actually at the end form a few questions, and in the comments I'm going to answer them. I'm going to pin my comment, and then you can answer them so we can get into a discussion, because like I feel like a lot of YouTubers, they just ask questions and they just like they don't actually engage with their audience. And my thing is like, as a new YouTuber who is trying to build an audience, I actually want to know what y'all think. Like, I am a college student, I'm very young, I don't know everything, and I'm trying to learn. So that's why I want to engage in these conversations, so I can get your perspective, you can get my perspective, and we can actually learn and grow together. So here are today's questions. Is any topic not up for debate with you? Is debating with woefully ignorant people useful? Do you view anyone as too far gone when it comes to conversations relating to social justice issues? I can't wait to see your answers to these questions and post my own. Let me know what you think of this video essay podcast and any other topics you'd like to see. Stay tuned for my next video essay, Where Do We Go When We Die?, which should be coming out next Wednesday at 5 p.m. For updates, you can follow me on Twitter at @A_pop of culture, Instagram at apopofculturepod, and TikTok at apopofculturesings. I also want to remind you guys that I have a cover channel, which I upload to weekly. Singing, as I said, is my passion. I love to sing, so if you want to check that out, it will be linked below. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for making it to the end of the video. To your left, you'll see a playlist with more video essay podcasts for me to check out as they're released. To the center, you'll see a button you can click on to subscribe if you wish to do so. To your right, you'll find a playlist of my covers to listen to. If you'd like to support me and the show, feel free to leave a tip. Cash App is linked below. No pressure. If you do tip the show, you'll get a spot in the credits on all my videos. Thanks for your time. Love you all. Bye.